Hey there, it's Joey, here with a short video to let you know about 2 brand new features on EDHREC that will help improve your deck building. And they're like really freaking cool. A lot of players probably scroll right past this charts button on a commander's page, but when you click it, it reveals awesome information. The average mana curve for that commander's typical decks, the average number of lands, creatures, etc. that commander usually contains based on all of the data, but now it also does this. Yeah, EDHREC just added a popularity history section to this charts area, so you can track how the commander is faring amidst all of the noise of new releases. Is it trending downward? Did it spike up quickly but then fade fast? Has it been picking up momentum lately? And so on. By default, the chart will show you a year's worth of data, but if you want, you can scroll around or shorten or extend it all the way back to up to 2 years of info. This is hella cool. Definitely expect us to compile some of the most interesting data from among these graphs for a future EDHREC podcast episode. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss that when it comes out. And before I get to the other really cool new EDHREC feature, I have to just pause real quick and say, holy shit, you guys. We just hit 100K subscribers. In a video last week, I mentioned that according to our metrics, we were probably on track to hit 100K subscribers by like the end of August, maybe. And I threw it out there that my birthday is at the start of August. And wouldn't it be kind of cool if we got there by my birthday instead of at the end of the month? Total long shot. I thought we'd get, I don't know, a little boost, but I did not expect us to get 1,500 subscribers in like 6 days. What the hell, you guys? I'm blown away. I really am. I mean, when y'all want to make something happen, you don't just do it, you ace it, right? What a testament to the community. Dang. I'm very moved. Thank you all so much for the early birthday wishes. Thank you all for making that happen and for making any of this possible. To celebrate this milestone, I am working on putting together a little something kind of cool, but this is so much earlier than I thought it would happen, so I hope to have it ready maybe around my actual birthday, so stay tuned for early August for that. Thank you all for hitting those, support the show buttons. I appreciate all of you so dang much. And now, let's tell you all about the other cool new feature that EDHREC just released. A short time ago, EDHREC added this feature, the ability to filter the data by how many game changers the deck data contains. You want to see only data where the decks contain no game changers, or only data from decks that contain 1 to 3 game changers, a la bracket 3, or only the data that has 4 or more game changers in the deck lists for the brackets 4 and 5 crowd? You got it. This was a great feature. We're real proud of it. It was a nice way for players to discover the types of decks that they want to build for the types of games that they want to play. I don't need to see CEDH combo card recommendations if I'm trying to build something that's a lot more casual, or I don't really want to see silly theme recommendations on the page if I'm trying to build a deck that is aiming to win on like turn 5. But cool as it is, it wasn't enough for us. Technically speaking, a deck that contains 4 or more game changers isn't immediately clear just by raw bird's eye view data observation whether that is a bracket 4 deck or a bracket 5 deck. They both have the exact same limitations. Or technically speaking, if a deck contains 0 game changers, it could be a bracket 1 deck or a bracket 2 deck. Like, how would a bunch of raw data ever know that? How would it tell that apart? It could even be a bracket 3 deck, to be honest, and it just happens to not play any game changers. Lord knows that I definitely have a couple of lists in my arsenal that don't run any game changers, but that I don't think are suitable to play against the likes of precons. I would call those decks a bracket 3, but how would you parse that just by the metric of game changers alone? Game changers are but one metric for determining your deck intention, but other things like whether the deck is trying to combo also matter a lot. See our previous episode for more info about that. So all of that is to say, that's why EDHREC now has this. We've broken it up into full-on brackets. By clicking these filters, you'll see only the data for that commander that deliberately falls into that specific bracket area. Now, how is this measured? By users. As you can see, the site explains that we're compiling the data from the decks that were user labeled as that specific bracket. We're not auto-counting anything. The user declares their bracket specifically on their deck list in whatever their deck building website of choice happens to be. And of course, this also won't count if someone tries to label a deck as, say, a bracket 1, but their list contains a bunch of game changers in there. No falsified data in here. We're trying to show you the authentic stuff. Now, there's not as much data here yet. We kind of hope this might encourage more players to tag or label the brackets of their decks in whichever deck building website they're using. I know I've been making a much bigger effort to do so with my deck lists because, well, folks keep asking which brackets I play those decks in. It's a really neat and fast way to communicate super easily to other players some quick information about the list that they're looking over. Like seriously, if I'm looking for deck help and my list is already deliberately labeled as bracket 2, that really helps out anyone who's giving me deck advice in advance so that they don't spend any time trying to cook up ideas for a type of gameplay that it turns out I'm not interested in pursuing with that list, you know? But hey, if you missed the old thing where you can just sort by game changers to still see a huge amount of data, don't worry, that functionality still totally exists. Here's how. Over here in the deck filters section, you can, as always, see only the data that includes or excludes certain cards that you do or don't want to see in the data, which remains my absolute favorite way to interface with EDHREC at all. Seriously, if you're not using the deck filters yet, you're only getting half of the EDHREC experience. You can see only the deck data that does include cards that you know you want to build around. But you can also use this menu here to show only data where the decks meet a certain type of threshold. So you could say to only show me data where the decks have at least 10 planeswalkers, or they have fewer than 10 creatures, or decks with a high salt score, and stuff like that. But now you can also curate the data to show you only the decks that have above X game changers, or fewer than Y game changers, etc. So you can still filter out the decks by game changers to see the data that is most relevant to you and your deck and the goals that you have during games with that list. Let us know if you missed the game changer buttons though. Would you like them to return alongside the bracket buttons up there for ease of use? Or is it not that big a deal and you prefer the filters as they are now? Give them a spin, let us know how you feel, and if there's a demand for those buttons to return, then we'll make some magic happen. The whole point of this is to find features that will make your deck building experience as smooth and cool and interesting as possible. And also let us know what you think of the new popularity history too. I think it's so cool to see the history of a commander rise and fall with the tides of the game. A great big thank you to the behind the scenes crew for making these new features on EDHREC. Everybody out there, please send some love to our statisticians and dev team for making this possible. And a huge shout out to you for giving me an incredible early birthday present. You all rock. Thank you so much. Enjoy the new features. Look forward to a small little 100k subscriber celebration video in early August. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember, EDHREC your deck before you wreck your deck.